Today is May 7th, 2025. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, I don't have a whole lot today, except I just wanted to make one observation. Today, May 7th, is the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II in Europe. It was VE Day, May 7th, the day that the Germans surrendered to the Allies. And when I think about World War II, especially, not exclusively, but especially the Nazis and how they instituted the Holocaust against European Jews and others, but primarily Jews. I got to thinking in the comparison with abortion, because in the 2 or 3 months, more like about 2 months leading up to VE Day, as the Americans and the British were moving across France and into Germany, and I think the Russians too, as they were coming toward Germany from the east, and they were going through Poland. The Allies liberated concentration camps, Bergen-Belsen, Auschwitz, Ravensbrück, Mauthausen, places like that. And, for the first time, really, these soldiers, these Allies were discovering the horrendous acts of barbarism and brutality initiated by the Nazis against the Jews. The ovens, the gas chambers, the horrible methods of torture and executions, and how the Nazis and the ideology of the Nazi Party, how it dehumanized Jews. They were considered parasites. They were guilty of all these various types of crimes for World War One, and for being the bankers that funded the war, and they betrayed Germany during World War One. A lot of this did go back to the First World War, but then there were all these racial things about how they were not fully human. And I know there's a lot of comparisons between how Southerners and before the Civil War treated black slaves. They were only partially human, according to the Constitution, and how chattel slavery existed for like 300 years, and blacks were not considered human, or only partial humans, and didn't have rights as American citizens. And obviously the Jews didn't have rights as German citizens. So, I was thinking about all this in light of abortion, and so much of what I read about World War II and the Holocaust and the concentration camps, it does make me reflect on how society today, not just in America, but a lot of nations in the world, how society treats the unborn child. Fully human, fully not in the developmental sense, but fully human in the fact that the DNA was human from conception. And at no point from conception to natural death is the DNA within that embryo or zygote or infant or teenager or adult, at no point does that DNA change into another species. It's always human. The Jewish German, or the German Jew, I guess I would say, was always human. The black slave in Louisiana was always human. But they were treated in a subhuman way, by whether it was the Nazi regime or by the plantation owner. Less than human. And that's the same mentality that we see within the pro-abortion movement, that even though they will admit that life begins at conception, and that there is human life. Still, the life has less value, and in many cases, the life has no value in comparison to the mother. And I struggle with that mentality that we look at the least of these, the Jew, the slave, the unborn child. And we look at the least of these with a level of disdain. They're in the way, they're inconvenient, and we must get rid of them. The Jews were inconvenient to the Germans, so they built death camps to liquidate them. And the slaves, they were property. They had a certain level of value because you could buy them or sell them. So there was value, but only in the monetary value they could give to their plantation owner. And then there's the unborn baby. Great value, great worth, great future, and a hope. Great value. And society today does not value unborn human life. It just does not value. And I think of the message that Right to Life in Michigan has launched and is pushing, that life here, Prop 3 took away our pro-life laws, and abortion is enshrined in the Michigan State Constitution. So abortion is legal through all stages of pregnancy because of Prop 3. But we're saying that life is still the other choice. If women are given the option for choice, because remember, the whole pro-choice movement is propagated on the fact that they believe in choice, which really is not true, because Planned Parenthood and their type, the only choice they really give a woman in a crisis pregnancy is the choice to abort. But we're saying that if women deserve a real choice in the options of that pregnancy, they deserve the choice for life. And obviously, the Jews didn't have a choice for life, and the black slave didn't have a choice for freedom until the end of the Civil War over the Nazis, until World War II ended. And we're saying here in Michigan, in America, that life is the other choice. With that, I'll let you go, and I will see you next time.